Here. We'll just look at the microphone actually. Right, we're live. Good. Okay, so let's get set up. Hi, and welcome to another podcast. We're the Freedom Vibe podcast. I'm Adam Vibes.
And it's Gohar right here.
And Mizan right here.
Right, so today's episode is going to be... today's series is a new series today. It's going to be about the UK elections. I thought the title for us to just say something. So it's what people need to watch this and listen to this before they vote. Yeah. And what we're going to do in this half an hour is just highlight some things that maybe people might miss out and they might want to think about before they vote. Yeah. So let's crack on and let's discuss the first subject. Yeah. So what's the first subject? Let's look at this. So the Telegraph, came out with just recently. Okay, so the Telegraph 4 months ago in July came out with a newspaper article. What was that newspaper article?
You obviously know, bro. So tell us.
I do know. Yes, I do. Dare do so.
Yeah, tell us, man.
Okay, so I'll tell you what it is. It was a leaked dossier.
Right.
Yeah. About the NHS, about America's plans with Boris about what to do with the NHS.
Right.
Leaked dossier. The same newspaper 4 months later decided to slam Jeremy Corbyn when he came out with his stuff in the press conference, and to slam him hard, and said he had Russian influence. So what's that all about? Yeah. So what it is, it's the same. The company that put this out was called Graphica, think tank. And if you look at that article, the Telegraph article that came out 4 months ago, if you go to the comment section, you'll see that people have posted up the Reddit articles with the actual link to the papers dossiers, and they're done by Telegraph employees. So you can tell the media influence and the media bias and the media hate and people talking about lies and fake news, but the news is creating the fake news, which is rather irritating, don't you think?
Yeah. So the way I think about the media's participation in this whole affair, it's very Trumpian in terms of, there's a lot of fake news, there's a lot of dirt, there's a lot of nastiness being thrown at certain individuals in the political arena, and it's done purely to affect the general election. It's done purely to influence the general election and to ensure that a certain candidate does not have the chance to go into number 10. And to be honest with you, the role of the media now, from my understanding, is very anti-democratic and is going against the interests of British citizens.
Do you think there's a lot of mudslinging?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of mudslinging. It started off, I mean, from what I remember, there's been mudslinging anyway. Of certain politicians throughout, historically anyway. But the real visceral kind of stuff really started off under Ed Miliband for me. When the Labour Party voted to recognise the state of Palestine under his leadership, there was fears about donations not coming in from certain community members now because of that. They used to call him Red Ed, for example, and all that kind of stuff. But it got ramped up 100% when Jeremy Corbyn became Labour leader, and it's been non-stop. And
I think people have short memories. That's what it is.
Yeah, and it's like all gloves are off now in terms of
fist fight.
Yeah, so basically the role of the media has been to ensure that, again, for me, Jeremy Corbyn does not get into number 10, and whatever it is, whatever storylines, whatever headlines that they can put in, they do that. And the real sad thing is that because of that, real issues are not being discussed. NHS, privatization, austerity, these issues are not being discussed. And what the Labour Party, what the Corbyn leadership the policies that they are putting out, they're not being highlighted, and therefore the media is acting against the interests of the British people, and therefore that's a very damaging thing.
Right. So, would it be correct in saying that you have a political bias?
Against the media interests, yeah, I have, and I've always had that. Even before Jeremy Corbyn became Labour leader, even before I became a member of the Labour Party, as I became more active within the left, I done a lot of research. I done a lot of reading in regards to corporations, in regards to privatization, and also in regards to the role of the media.
Right.
And even then, there were examples of media bias for certain foreign policy issues.
Right.
So, for example, when the Iraq War was happening, there were certain media portrayals of the Iraq War
Right.
that really, if you scrutinized it,
Yeah.
They kind of went with the government line, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
But these were very underhand. But even then, I understood that, when it comes to foreign policy and the interests of the British state, the media is biased towards the British state and British corporate interests. So in that sense, I was a bit biased. But now it's so in your face now.
Right.
I can give you examples of actual hit jobs that the media has done
Right.
on Jeremy Corbyn, and there's been certain programs against Jeremy Corbyn where I know those individuals in the programs,
Right.
they have a political agenda.
So okay. So coming back to the issue of Brexit overcasting other issues.
Yeah,
So you're looking at transport, nursing, this thing that's being flown around. I mean, today there was a debate, BBC debate that was on today. Prime Minister, the leaders, BBC debate that was on, and in there flew around. We've put 20,000 more police officers on the street.
yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong. The Tory party cut 21,000 police officers. Sorry, they cut 20,000 police officers already, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
So which leaves an extra. How much? What was it? 21,000 police officers.
You're in a loss of 1,000 then.
Yeah, something like that. Just something like that. Anyway, so they've only actually given 1,000 police officers extra because they already cut 20,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So
1,000
yeah,
gain.
yeah. So so things like that. You're insulting the the public's intelligence.
Yeah.
This brass, ridiculous phrase of "get Brexit done," let's get Brexit done, constantly in people's ear. The spin doctors are just like, yeah, say it enough times and people are gonna be drummed to get Brexit done. Let's get Brexit done. It's like a repetitive thing that keeps on happening. And this started with the Blair era. These spin doctors that said, let's psychologically work the public and influence their mind and blah blah blah. And for me, it's cringeworthy. These hand movements that politicians did with their putting the thumb on top of the fists to say that you're in control, and this like puppeteering. It's very cringeworthy, which is why a lot of politicians have lost respect, in my opinion, because of the absolute bullshit, and excuse my French, that they come out with. So yeah, for me, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's sidelined here, and that people need to ask the question: what's happening to education? What's going to happen to my child's future? What's going to happen to, policing on the streets? Where's the actual evidence for this? I suggest people go and read the manifesto. There are short, abbreviated versions of it. Before you go and vote, really read the manifestos, man, because you know what? This particular election is the most pivotal election in current history. Why? Because this will define how the country will be for the next 50 to 100 years. Yeah. And I don't say that lightly. Don't take anything at face value. Really don't. What the media come out with, even what we come out with, check your references. If you're, like reading the Sun newspaper, the Daily Mail, sorry, See the daily
Daily
fail.
fail.
Wow.
Just, I don't know, man. Just
Says it all.
yeah. Well, there you go. What was it? The Freudian slip.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, what if if you read this type of newspapers, fine, but check your sources. Don't believe everything you hear.
No doubt, man. And I just want to say a couple of things of things that were mentioned. Like, you were saying, like, get Brexit done. So this lady in Question Time, I forget her name, but she's either still working for the European Council or used to. But she said, let's not fool ourselves. Like, Brexit is going to stay around for ages, even if this withdrawal bill goes through. There's all the other aspects of Brexit. This is just the withdrawal agreement. Then it's going to be the next stage after that. Then it's going to be negotiating deals. So don't think people who say let's get Brexit done after they get the withdrawal deal is suddenly it's all over. No, then it's all the other aspects of Brexit that still have to go. So Brexit is going to be around for a very long time.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? It's not a case of just get it done. We get the deal done, get it through, it's over. It's not over. We got so many other phases to go.
I think the public were made a fool of when Cameron turned around and said, let's have a referendum. Yeah. And they were really betting on not leaving the EU. They weren't betting on they weren't betting on leaving the EU. Yeah. And it was a big shock to their system. But the thing is that they really insulted the people's intelligence.
Yeah.
By playing a political game and having half the Tory party started going on the Leave side and having these big bus campaigns, and there were two different Leave sides, one with the UKIP and then trying to override them, and there was political games being played with words.
Yeah. It was all just a political game.
That's exactly what
So
it
was really putting the party over the people. I mean, Brexit. The reason why one of the main reasons why Cameron got a referendum is because he thought he could literally use that to wipe out UKIP basically and wipe out their support. And whether or not he personally believes that we should be leaving the EU or not, the kind of the result that we got was something that he was basically unprepared for. And you could tell in the aftermath, literally in the aftermath, when they had their press conferences, Boris Johnson and Michael Gove, they really had no clue. They really had no plan.
You could tell by their faces.
Yeah, about what the next stages were. And therefore, it just shows that this was not done for the interest of the public. It was actually done for party political reasons. And that was it. And the fact is now is that we are left with this. And we're going to be left with this for a very long time, as my friend Goha just said. And unfortunately, this will be used as a political cricket bat, basically, all the time, to ensure that real issues and real policies do not get discussed and they do not get the exposure that they need. And that is the real unfortunate, tragic consequence of this whole Brexit debate that we are having.
Yeah, I just want to add also that but to my understanding, the Brexit referendum was put through Parliament first, right? So that it would actually occur. So it passed that stage and then it was put to the public. So the whole part, people say Cameron, and of course there's a certain responsibility for Cameron, but Parliament actually approved for there to be a referendum in the first place. So it's more than just Cameron, in my opinion, although yes, I mean, he's clearly takes a degree of responsibility. Anyway, that's my Brexit style.
I mean, fine, he might have gone through Parliament, but he didn't have to do it. And therefore, for me, I think the majority of the blame lies with Cameron.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
But then he would have just got gunned, man. Why aren't you implementing it? But yeah, I mean, the leader is the leader, so the buck has to stop somewhere in that respect.
Look, man, there's been a political game being played here, and it's quite evident. And with half a brain cell to understand that. Yeah. Some people, I've read comments, and this is what I've read. It's not my opinion. Before anyone I mean, we're live, but we've only got one watcher. I don't know who that is.
Peace to them, man.
Yeah, man.
Peace to that
But
one.
yeah,
watcher.
look, I have read even that every general election there seems to be some sort of issue that happens. This issue of anti-Semitism is constantly barraged, everyone's faces. And yes, there is an issue. Yeah, there is an issue, and it needs to be sorted, and it is being sorted because there are processes in place. Yeah, okay, fine. Then there's an issue with Islamophobia. I was part of the Tory party at one stage, and I will tell you for first-hand experience that there is an issue with Islamophobia in the Tory party. Yeah, I suffered outright prejudice from that party. Some associations are known to be inherently racist, and I don't say that lightly. And that's not me having bias. I'm a very apolitical guy, even though I have some political views. But I have read that every general election there seems to be some sort of terror attack. Yeah, some general election that takes there's a terror attack just before or just after, and someone said that it's funny how when the issue of Islamophobia is brought up and pushed in front of everyone's faces, and Boris Johnson doesn't want to answer and it's becoming a bit of an issue, all of a sudden there's a terror attack. We don't know where the knife has gone. We don't know where the handprints are. No one's examined anything. No one's seen the evidence, blah, blah. And all of a sudden there's this. Yeah. So I'm like, whoa. Yeah. Okay. Don't believe everything you hear. I'm sorry. Don't believe everything you read. But, it's a comment. It's a fair comment.
The dots are aligning, man.
Yeah. But, people are saying what they're saying. There are stuff out there. I don't think that, people need to take anything. I don't need to take things with a pinch of salt here, what people say in comments, but there's an element of truth. Yeah. We recently had our service, a terror thing downgraded. Yeah. Anyway, there's cuts to the probation service. They were privatized, and there's privatization left, right, and center. Yeah. We know that for a fact. So for me, I think that the real issues need to be talked about. It's not, to say, oh yeah, we can sort these issues out if we get Brexit done. Let's get Brexit done. Yeah, it's not. it's there's 150 billion ready waiting to be invested in this country, but where's that coming from?
Yeah,
he hasn't talked about that. Yeah, is it coming from American companies? Is it coming from privatized companies? Because I tell you what, the country is going to be in a massive shock. Yeah, if Boris is lying, or if Boris is not telling the truth, or he hasn't substantiated his claims. Yeah, which is a bit of a yeah.
I mean, it's interesting that you say that we need to be speaking about the real issues, because I think generally people are speaking about the real issues. It's just not the politicians that are speaking about the media. And the media. So they're talking mainly about Brexit and all this other stuff. I've just come back from a hustings from the Sri Lankan Islamic Cultural Centre in Willstone.
So you're a Labour Party member?
Yeah, okay. I'm a Labour Party member. Okay. So we had our prospective parliamentary candidates. We had candidates from the Conservative Party and the Lib Dems. And the questions were all about issues that are affecting people. Literally, obviously, hate crime, safety, NHS, all that stuff. Nothing about Brexit. Nothing about all these other issues that the politicians in the House of Parliament and the media talk about. And so therefore,
just a disclaimer that what we talk about here is non-political bias. It's just a disclaimer for everyone. Yeah. So whether what affiliations everyone has here, this is a apolitical, unbiased conversation.
Yeah.
So just a disclaimer. Go on, carry on.
Yeah. So again, the conversations that we are having, that people want to talk about the real issues. Unfortunately, there seems to be some kind of discrepancy between the conversation we are having and the conversation the politicians are having. And I think that, again, like...
Do you think they are ridiculing the public's intelligence?
I don't think intentionally, but I think that is the side product of it,
right?
Because what you have is, like, for example, the issue of Brexit. you have that used always to ensure that real policies and real issues aren't talked about within the political sphere.
Right.
And obviously, as a byproduct of that, we also live in a society where people are just generally, on a weekly basis, they're not really that much in tune with what's going on politically. And, because they're just going by their own day-to-day lives. They've got their own struggles and things like that. So I think it's not intentional, but I think that is a byproduct of the way the political class deals with how it wants to kind of censor issues within the Houses of Parliament.
The ridiculous thing is, why are we calling them political class? Because, at the end of the day, they are representatives from the public who are supposed to represent the people in the Houses of Commons. Yeah. The Houses of Commons being a place where commoners are represented in the law of the land. Yeah. And they put their case forward to the Lords, who represent the Queen. Yeah. Who initially who has the last word on a few things, but she's left her House of Lords representatives to do that for her.
Yeah.
Which is why every bill that's passed through Parliament goes through the House of Lords, nearly every bill. Yeah. So these House of Commons MPs are supposed to be from the Joe public, representing the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
public servants.
Yeah. Let me just qualify. So when I say political class, I literally mean.
I know
MPs.
what you mean. I know what you mean. I'm just establishing a fact here that people seem to forget.
Yeah.
They're not higher than anyone. They get paid a good salary. There's a lot of work that's involved being an MP, like there is of a councillor or a governor of a school. Yeah. And for me, there seems to be an issue where these people who are sitting in the Houses of Commons, some of them are from a different world altogether. And they get put into constituents where they go out, start canvassing here and there. Most of the voters are elderly. Yeah. And they take them, oh, he's a nice chap. Oh, he's lovely. But, policies start affecting people afterwards. It's like buying off the person and not the actual product. Yeah. And unfortunately, some of the product that's being sold is out of date or rubbish, not fit for human consumption. Yeah. So for me, people need to see not only the person that's standing in front of them, if there is anyone that knocks on their door, but they need to start reading information, because you are going to be fooled in this election. You will be fooled. You need to clue yourself up of who you're voting for and what's going to benefit you as a person.
What I was just going to say was also, you could say it's a flaw in the system, but it is the system, and we'd rather have something going on. But for instance, in a certain constituency or an area, you have obviously several parties, and the one with the highest vote is going to win. In theory, that could mean that somebody gets the majority. Just say if there were two political parties going, obviously there are more, but if they were two in theory, one of them gets 51% and the other one gets 49%, they get power. But now 49% is a big portion of that constituency, that community, who doesn't agree with their leader in the area. So on all the issues, there's probably going to be a difference of opinion by many, many people. And they're there representing their people, but a lot of their people, just under the majority, don't agree with them anyway. So who are they really representing? They're representing those people who voted for them. And in the whole constituency, that could actually be the minority of the people, really, because you think about the people who didn't even vote in the first place, or the people who voted for other parties. If you add them all up, that's more than his majority. So he's just really representing a certain section, and it's really a flaw.
That's like polls, government opinion polls. They are just a snapshot of that time and specific situation of a certain situation with amongst a certain demographic of people.
A specific sample as well.
Yeah. So it's not a true representation of
No.
what's actually out there. So when it's flashed around, a YouGov poll suggests that conservatives are ahead, because all the polls I'm looking at, conservatives are ahead like crazy. Yeah. And they keep on flashing around hung parliament. They keep on telling the public there's going to be a hung parliament. I don't know if you've noticed. In a hung parliament, there's a coalition of doom between Sturgeon and Corbyn. That's what they keep on flashing around. It's like they're trying to prophesize there's going to be, because I remember before the last one, the 2010 election, they said the same thing.
Yeah.
Hung parliament, hung parliament, hung parliament. That's all they kept on saying. There's going to be a hung parliament. Yeah.
And let's not also forget in the 2015 election, with the idea of like Ed Miliband and obviously Nicola Sturgeon, all that kind of stuff, conservatives are going around saying that will be the coalition of chaos.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about coalition of chaos. Yeah.
Yeah.
UK think tanks recently have received 4.3 million in funding from US wealthy donors. So what does that say when they're pushing out all this stuff, these reports, these articles in regards to what's happening, but there's an agenda here. Yeah, because who they're being paid by, and why are they getting US donors in the first place?
Wow.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just something to think about. Yeah?
Yeah.
I'm just saying it's something to think about. So you need
Obviously,
to think about these things. There's a lot of things that are overcasting the real issues. Brexit is a big thing, and this constant verbal diarrhea that comes out of Conservative Party's mouth. Let's get Brexit done. Let's get Brexit. This thing is, they're trying to drum it into people's heads. So when they go to the polls and they go into the booth stations and they vote, that phrase is going to be in their head. Oh, it's okay. Boris knows what he's doing. Yeah? Boris knows what he's doing. He's a nice chap. That, I'm somewhat inclined conservatively, socially conservative in some aspects. Yeah. Economically, some aspects of capitalism I agree with, a whole load I disagree with. Yeah. A lot of socialism I agree with, some I disagree with. Yeah. But this party is going to wreck this country. They will tear it apart. However, that's not for me to decide. Lib Dems, nice bunch of people, but my prediction, they're going to be wiped off the political map again.
That's funny, because I think they're going to do well.
I don't think so. What's your basis for that?
Because they've just taken a stance. They've taken a stance that we're going to revoke Article 51. And, that may go against the whole democratic process, but they've latched on to a strong public opinion that's out there. You've seen the marches and stuff like that in central London and stuff. So there's a lot of people, and I've spoken to people personally who are now disillusioned with Tories because they don't really like some of their styles. They're going straight for Libs. And some guys who are disillusioned with Labour because of whatever issues, they told me they're going for Libs.
Look,
so I personally think they may do all right.
But if you look at the policies of their manifesto, they're not viable. You need to look before you go out and vote. Please, open up a page. Go to the websites, Labour homepage website. Go to the Conservative. Go to the Lib Dems. Go to Green Party.
Read the manifestos.
Read the manifesto.
One thing I like about the Lib Dems manifesto, I'll just say quickly. I think it's quite genius. They're going to raise money by increasing the income tax by 1p for each person, and I think that's kind of heavy.
That's similar to what Brown was doing, man.
I like
the 10p tax rate.
Yeah.
It's similar to what Gordon Brown was doing.
Oh, right. But no one can argue over 1p.
Yeah, but listen. Anyway, look.
That's another
All I'm saying, look, before you go out and vote, this is just a brief little thing that we wanted to get off our chest and talk about. Yeah, but before you go out and vote, please, read the manifesto. Don't listen to people's rubbish on TV. Debates are great. BBC debate is great. Hashtag BBC debate. Yeah, that's what happened today. Yeah, so that BBC debate was just between two people, right? All I'm saying is check your manifestos, read up, and clue yourself up. I want to thank you for listening to us. I hope you found it informative. My name is Adam Vibes, and we will see you next time. I'll speak to you next time.
Peace.
See you later.
Bye.
Yes.
Scrap it.